our minds. We're going to do new. Do something else. Do more. Do the impossible. Do good. Do big. Do small. Do it wrong. Do it again. Do it ourselves. Do it together. Do what no one else has done. Do what will become big. Do the same. Do different. Do everything. Do something. Do new.
Good afternoon. Welcome to a webinar from Linköping University. Today we're going to learn a bit more about studying social sciences at Linköping University, and this is aimed at EU citizens, which means it's tuition free. But before we go into talking a bit more about our offerings and who we are, I'd like to introduce my guests. Would you like to?
Yes. Hi, I'm Fleur. I'm from the Netherlands, and I am a first-year student in the Master of Science for Sustainable Development.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I'm Åsa, and I'm Associate Professor at Environmental Science Department.
Thank you. And my name is Therese Winder, and I'm a Communications Officer. So for this webinar, we're going to talk about why you should study social sciences at LIU, a bit about both the academic side and expectations, and also Fleur's perspective and experiences of being here. We're also going to talk about how to apply, and I'm going to give you a quick refresher of who we are as a university. And then we're going to open up for questions. So we're going to talk for about 20 minutes, half an hour maybe, and then we're going to open up for questions from you guys. And at the bottom of your screen, there is a questions tab. Put your questions in there, and they'll be put to us later. This webinar is also being recorded, and you can ask your questions later on if you're watching the recording, and they'll be forwarded to us. Right, let's have a look at the presentation. There we go, and next slide there. Right, so who are we? Well, we are a full university, which means we can award degrees at all levels. So it's bachelor, master's, and doctoral degrees. There's 40,000 students, so there's quite a big campus. 2,000 roughly are international, and they come from a variety of countries. Do you know any other Dutch students?
Yes, I do. I have one in my program.
Yeah. And there's also exchange students, and there is master students. We have 4,500 employees, so there's a lot of faculty, a lot of colleagues and faculty and researchers. We're a young university. We were established in 1975, so next year we'll turn 50, but still we're still under the top 50 under 50. We've also always had an innovative educational approach. If we go to next slide. Let's see where yeah, we always had an innovative approach, and in this slide you can actually see that we have 3 campuses, 2 cities. We have a small campus in Stockholm as well, but that's for furniture studies. But for social sciences, we're at Valla, and you can see the modern student building. It's quite recent, and it has the library and lots of study places.
My favorite building.
Good. I'm glad because it was designed for you guys.
Very nice.
It's called Studenthuset, which is student building. Norrköping has a few programs as well. It's 40 kilometers north of Linköping, and there's a free shuttle bus that takes students from one campus to the other. And there's also University Hospital campus, but no social science programs there. It's just the medical faculty. Right, next slide, please. So we have 30 master's programs and 1 bachelor program. We're going to see a bit later on which programs we actually offer within social sciences. You can also choose different streams within certain programs. The main campus is Campus Valla. Lots of study places. There are sports facilities. You also have student study counselling, both in terms of the academic side, but you also have counsellors in case you're struggling. And there's a huge variety of student associations. You can do robotics, you can do choirs, you can do law, you can do politics. There's loads. And the next slide, please. Right, and these are our programs. So these are the social science programs. We'll talk a bit more later about them, but yours is, I've got something in the way, Science for Sustainable Development.
Exactly.
And that's one you teach on
Yep.
as well. Yeah. About half of these, I think, are in Linköping and half in Linköping. Next slide, please. Thank you. This is the bit about how to apply. So this is the bit that I kind of, you need this flow chart. The most important thing is do your research. Make sure you know what you're applying for. Check the requirements. Make sure you're eligible. If you meet the requirements and you're eligible, go ahead. Go to universityadmissions.se. And the tricky bit for you who are EU students is you actually have 2 application rounds that you can apply for the social science programs. The first application round is the main one, the one that most of our international students apply in, and that closes on the 15th of January. But there's also an application period that opens now on the 15th of March and closes on the 15th of April. This one is only really open for EU students because you don't need to apply for a residence permit, so you have time to come here. So what you then do is, once you've applied online, that's not the end of it. You then have to submit proof of fee exemption status, and you do that by uploading a copy of your passport. We don't know that you're Dutch or German or French unless you tell us so, and you do that by uploading a copy of your passport. Check the country-specific requirements. You can find that at universityadmissions.se. That's really useful because, for example, if you're from Germany, you don't have to take an English test if you have studied English at a certain level throughout your school years. So this, if you know these things, you'll be able to, you might save yourself a lot of work, really, if you check that. So you also then submit. So proof of fee exemption status is either 1st of February or 2nd of May. 2nd of May is if you're applying now. You then have to submit the documents, and if you're in the first cycle, the first admissions round, you can do both documents and proof of exemption on the 1st of February. But if you're applying now, you have until the 20th of June to submit the documents that you need, and that's your it's either a syllabus sometimes, but it's your transcript and your diploma. And if you're in your final year of studies, make sure that you actually have 150 ECTS credits now, because otherwise you won't have enough time to gain those. Then you'll find out either 21st of March, roughly around then, because obviously this will be for next year, but roughly then, if you've been in the first application round, and for the second application round, it's 11th of July. And then there is a big difference between the 2 application rounds. Well, there's another one I'll show you on the next slide, but the biggest difference is that in the second application round, you have to accept your offer or you will lose your place. First round, you don't have to accept your offer, but the second one, you have to. And this is really important. And then next slide, please. So basically, this is just a quick recap. National online application process. And in the first selection round, you can apply for 4 programs. And in the second one, it is actually 12. I've forgotten to update, but it's 12, but you can only be admitted to 1. And again, you need to reply. Sorry. You need to reply to the offer. So online application, documenting fee exemption status, submitting your documents, that's when your application will be assessed. So that's the application process. Do you remember it?
Yeah. I think in my year I could only apply for 3 actually.
Okay.
Yeah, but maybe that was specific for the Netherlands. I'm not sure, but that's nice that you can apply for 4.
Yeah, or even 12 now.
Yeah,
but,
exactly.
But still,
Nice.
you will still only be admitted to 1. So the order of priority is really important.
Yeah.
Right. that was that part, the application process part. Let's talk a bit more about social sciences and social sciences at Linköping University. Why is it important? What does social sciences kind of bring to the table?
For the society,
Mhm.
I would say it's a great benefit for the society. I mean, we need social science both to understand the society and to improve it. There are so many changes, everything from climate to everything's going that we talked about before, that mobile phones and the development. So what we try to do is, of course, it should benefit for the society, but also in interaction with society and industry. So I would say it's really important.
From your perspective, how come you chose this program and social sciences, and why Linköping University?
Yeah, well, I think it's super important to work with people. That's, I think, what social science is all about. I wanted to work with people, although I really like the natural science aspect as well, also in my studies. Everything comes down how we communicate things with each other, how we write and read. Everything is about how to connect with people, and that's the way to learn as well. We learn from each other, and I chose social science because I want to give my knowledge to the next generations as well. And yeah, I thought LIU was it gave me a very fresh look on universities because it's so new. And yeah, when I looked at the website, everything was very nicely done, very innovative. Yeah, it just catched me.
Okay,
Yeah,
good. And what has your experience been?
it's been very nice. It's been very good. I'm very happy here. I needed to adjust to the system a little bit because I did my bachelor's in the Netherlands. And there it is, there you always have like 3 to 4 courses at a time. And here I have 1 course at a time for 5 weeks, which I found a bit odd in the beginning. And now I really appreciate it because you can just focus on 1 course for 5 weeks. And you don't have to do anything else. So that's been an adjustment, but in the end, very nice. Yeah, so I'm doing my last set of courses now. And then next semester for us is elective courses, internship, or going abroad, which is very nice. I feel like LIU gives us a lot of different opportunities as well.
Okay, excellent. Are you going abroad?
Yes, I'm going to Oslo.
Yes. Still keeping it in the Nordics.
Yes.
But yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk a bit more about the academic side. You said you have courses, you do 5-week kind of blocks. Is that kind of common across social sciences?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It's 5 or 10 weeks.
Okay. And
but-
you do 1 course at a time, or?
For most programs, there are 1 or 2 programs that are different a bit regarding that. But it's also, I would say, that you have small examinations all through the course. So then it's also very good to focus on the 1 course at the time, because it's not that you take the course and a big exam in the end. There are smaller things all over the course. It might be reflections for a seminar, it might be an oral presentation. So I think that's also making it good to have just 1 course at the time.
So it's not, it doesn't all kind of depend on your performance on one day at the end of those 5 weeks. It is more, if you miss that, you could still be okay, provided you've done everything else.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. So that's how students are assessed. What about mandatory and elective courses? Is that typical that you can choose? Is that?
Yeah, the first year is usually mandatory, so that you study together the entire class. And then comes a semester, as Fleur said, you mentioned you can choose your own courses that are offered. You always have courses that are given, but you can also find other courses at other universities or at our university. And the last semester is, of course, master thesis.
Okay, and tell me a bit more about the thesis. What is it like? How do you find the subject? And you haven't started yet.
No, I haven't started.
But you started thinking.
I definitely started thinking about it. But as I have these courses now, I'm like, oh, maybe I want to do climate science because I really like that course. But maybe there will be a next course which I really like as well. So I'm going to wait a little bit until summer and after my elective courses as well, and then choose. But I think it's very important to start thinking about it.
And how do you, I mean, from your perspective?
I think it's an interaction between the students and the faculty that we actually discuss. Some of the faculty have projects that they want students to go into and do research within a research team, and other do more for society or for an industry that we just supervise them from here, but the task comes from somewhere else. And a lot of students have great ideas, things that we might not have thought about and realized that's really interesting area. So,
And then, so you do it, and it's in writing. You do it on your own. Can you do it in pairs or in groups, or?
in some programs, they allowed it to be in pairs, but at the program you are, it's one
Alone.
student. Yeah.
Yeah. And then at the end, you defend it, or do you is there like an oral defense?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And then another student have read it and come with comments, and also another teacher has read it and give comments all through.
Okay. I think that's kind of, you know, I studied in the UK, and that was not the case. You just handed it in and you didn't have to defend it.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I
Yeah.
did have to defend it as
Defend
well.
it.
It's very scary,
Yeah, I can imagine.
but nice. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a good experience. I think it's
Yeah.
a really good experience. What about the way of teaching? Do you have like lectures, seminars, self-study? What is it like in your program?
All of those.
Okay.
Most of the courses are structured similarly, where we read the literature, then we have a seminar about it. We have lectures in between as well. Some are mandatory, but most of them are not. But still, it's very nice to go and read all the literature. And then most of the time we have to write a case study or a paper in the end. But yeah, throughout we have these little moments where we are examined in some kind of way for pass or fail then. And self-study, yeah, I'm doing a lot of self-study. It's a lot of self-study in this program. So I sit at student who sits a lot in the library, reading and writing.
Do you have any tips for kind of staying on top of it? Because it requires a certain level of self-discipline.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's really good every week to just make a plan. I plan my week on Sundays and then make a plan. Okay, this is what I need to read this week. This is when I have to start. And it's very nice because we only have those 5 weeks. So you can really like already start and you get into it quite quickly because you need to, because you only have those 5 weeks. So plan ahead, I would say.
Plan ahead.
Yeah.
What about all the other programs? Is this kind of typical for social sciences?
For most, I would say. I mean, those that are statistics or computational social science, they of course have a lot of computer lab all the time. So, and also when they gather and go through math, for example, or so they are a bit different. Some other in business, they work a lot in project groups, so they have a lot of projects. So it differs a bit upon the discipline or the subject area. But one thing I also think is really good with having those programs is that you have friends, you know the friends. So you can have study groups that you organize by yourself, for example, and also that it's interdisciplinary. It's very common, which you can see from the requirements for the program, that students have different backgrounds. And that, for me as a teacher, that gives me something additional, because if I would only go for one discipline, it would be talking to my old colleagues and friends, but this gives me input. I get a better understanding of the subject, hearing from some person with a agriculture background, talking with someone with a political science background. So I think that also enhances our programs.
Which brings me to kind of who's the target student in a sense. You know, who are we looking for? Who would thrive and really get the most out of a program here? What would you think?
Yeah, so I wanted to add as well. I have a pretty small class. We're only 15 people, and we're all from different backgrounds. Because my background is in tourism, and obviously we worked a lot with sustainable tourism. But then there's people from political backgrounds, from environmental science backgrounds, and that's really nice. But I think for my program, at least, you would want somebody that's really into sustainability. It doesn't need to come from a social background or a natural science background. But I think it's important that you know how to read academic texts and write in good academic English, because that's basically all we're doing. So I think that's one really important thing.
I think that's important for
Yeah.
all programs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have to be self-going, as you said. You have to plan yourself. I mean, there are study guides, there are helps, but you have to be disciplined. That you actually plan and see that, yes, I do have to read this, and to get most out of the program. I mean, if you're just trying to get through the program, of course, you don't learn as much as with interaction, with reading. Oh, there's optional reading. Why don't I read that too, to get some more out of it?
It is after all master's level. I mean, we're talking. So this is something that I think you've done your bachelor to get a job. When you want, and this is in depth. So I suppose there's a different kind of engagement. From the students, I suppose. So good English. They need to be proactive, right mindset, and independent, really. But the background for the program doesn't matter as much.
For mine, I don't think it does that much. Not sure.
For some of the programs, it really does. I mean, you can't go and do computational social science if you haven't worked with that kind of background beforehand, or statistics and machine learning. You have to have a certain level of statistics, for example, or programming. But otherwise, I think most of the programs are fairly broad, with the idea of the meeting. So I would add another thing that I, for myself, think is important: curiosity. I like students who ask questions and want to interact and want to know more. So I think that's also important, that you don't go there, oh, I just listen, but ask questions.
There are no stupid questions.
No.
Yeah, exactly. That's a very important thing to have at the top of your mind to get the most out of it. So when you do the seminars, by the way, so you said there were 15 of you. Are there like several? I mean, are you in groups, or is it all 15 of you in seminars?
Sometimes we're the whole class, but 15 is a bit much. So most of the time we go out into smaller groups, which works very well, because then if you're just 4 people, you're really forced to say something. So it gets really interactive, and it's really nice with all of the different disciplines as well.
Is that generally how it's done?
Yeah, I would say that of course, it depends a bit on the program. Sometimes the students form the groups themselves. Sometimes the teacher form the group. It depends on how we want.
I thought we should move on a bit. Seeing the time, we're going to open up for questions from you guys shortly. But what is it like living in Linköping? And you've come from, well, you're European. So I mean, is there a big difference? Has there been any kind of culture clash?
Yeah, there has been a little bit of adjustment, I would say, because I've lived in the Netherlands my whole life, but have strong bonds with Germany as well. So I'm used to this kind of a little bit Nordic mentality. So moving to Linköping wasn't the biggest step, but culturally, I would say it's sometimes the Swedish people hold back a little more than I'm used to. Maybe a bit more shy in the beginning, but after a couple of months, I really start to get to know people on a deeper level, and it's been really nice. But I think that's one of the main things that I've noticed here. But otherwise, as a Dutch person, it was easy. Everybody speaks English very well. Everybody's nice and helpful, and Linköping is great. The student life is amazing. There's so many associations, parties. The campus is so nice because everything is just on this one big street in Campusvalla, at least. The library is very new and modern, and I like it very much.
And you live nearby?
Yes, I do. Yeah, everything. I think in Linköping, almost everything is nearby, especially because we bike everywhere, which is super nice to me because I love biking, of course.
I am Dutch. Yes, you should.
And I don't have to pay for the bus. It's been really nice.
It's expensive. I mean, that's always kind of, it tends to be one of the things that people go about Sweden. Oh, it's expensive. Is it?
Actually, I think it's very comparable with the Netherlands at the moment. I don't think Linköping's that expensive. I think if you would go to one of the bigger cities, it will become a bit more expensive. But for me, it's kind of the same as in my bachelor, maybe a bit more, I would say. But then studying here is free, which it isn't in the Netherlands. So it
kind of makes up for
Exactly.
it in a way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Mm.
So no tuition fee for European students. I think that's
Right.
So no application fee and no
Yeah.
tuition fee, but you have to show us that you are European, EU. So it's the EU is the key component. I think we're actually going to open up for questions,
Okay.
and we'll come back to certain things, but I think we should do that. We have lots of other webinars, so have a look at those on our website. If you look at liu.se/education, you can find links to the webinars, and we also have subject-specific webinars that are recorded from the past. Have a look at our Instagram account. You might see a familiar face on there. Our Instagram account is run by our students, so it's a new student every week. And have you done 1 or 2 sessions?
2 sessions.
Yeah.
I just finished yesterday with my last session, so you might have seen me on there. Yeah.
If not, go and check her out now. That's Linköping University Instagram. There's also a blog, International Students at LIU. Again?
Yeah, again,
Yeah.
I've had many blogs on there.
Yeah.
I'm writing one this week, so
And what's that on?
I'm not sure yet. I think I want to do it on like public transport, because I think that's super important if you want to travel around a little bit here as well.
Yeah, that's a good one. Good. But you can find lots of information about how to apply accommodation. Everybody who's writing in those blogs have been through, the whole process and everything. So they have lots of tips. There's also a podcast called Fika with Us.
Also been on there
Has it been
twice.
on there? Brilliant.
Yeah, it's lovely.
I think that's also really, really useful to kind of, you get the tips, you kind of find out maybe, where you get secondhand things and, cheapest food or, just those things that you need as a student.
Yeah, it's very casual.
Yeah.
So it's nice if you're just like on the bus or on the bike to just listen to it. Yeah.
So those are really, really good, useful tips. And that's the recorded part of this webinar is over shortly. So if you do have questions, put the questions to us through the questions box if you're watching this recording, and we'll still get them. But that's all for the recorded part. And now Luke has appeared with questions.
Yes, I did. So we already received some questions indeed from the audience. So thanks everyone for that. I'm going through them right now. Just to also already make sure I also put some polls in, some pollings open, just to get to know you a little bit better, to get an idea, what your background is, and also just open one to know if you're considering to apply, for when would that be. So just to get an idea from you as well. Thanks for that. Questions. So we received a question from Abderrahman, if I say that right. I hope I do. And asking, is the program in English or Swedish? Just to clarify.
English or Swedish?
The program. My program
Oh.
personally is in English. And I think we're talking about international programs here, so all of them will be in English.
So all the master's programs, all the social science master's programs that we've talked about here, they're all taught in English. We have loads of other programs in Swedish, but they're not the ones that we've mentioned today.
Good, thank you. Question from Miriam. We're getting thumbs up and lovely smiles, by the way. So I guess the answer has been well received. Miriam is asking, what's the frequency and the fee, how it works for Italian citizens?
The fee?
Yes. So
no fee.
There's no fee.
So no fee for Italian citizens. So anyone from an EU country, you will be exempt from fees. You just have to show us a copy of your passport, which you upload when you apply online at universityadmissions.se. So no tuition fees for EU students.
Okay, so that's the good news. Mohamed is wondering, is it available also for foreigners who are regular residents in Europe? And he personally is interested in international business management.
Oh, that is a difficult one. I think it depends why you have a residence permit in Europe. It's free if you're here with a spouse who's on a student visa. I know that, but you'd have to have a look at the migration agency, Swedish migration agency. Do you have any? No. No. I think there's a difference depending on why you have a residence permit.
Okay. There's a follow-up question from Mohamed wondering if it's also possible to follow it online to avoid the cost of living.
Generally, no. We do have the aging and social change is offered both online and on campus. But apart from that, the programs they're all on campus.
We do have two, child studies and gender studies that are, but there are some parts that you have to go to the campus. But they are different.
Yeah. So those are two different. So child studies and gender studies. Are they open in this application round currently?
I don't
think so. No. So if you're interested in those, you need to wait till 15th of October when that application round opens. But all programs apart from aging, they're all here, which I think is, you mentioned, one of the strengths really.
Yeah.
That you're here, you can do these seminars, you kind of participate.
Yeah, I think it really helps, especially because you see your class and you see your classmates all the time, which is very nice, but also you can really engage in these discussions, and I learned so much from just like seeing them and discussing and being here. I've done online in Corona, of course, and it's very sad and it's very hard to motivate yourself sometimes. But I think if your situation doesn't allow to come to campus, I think it's very nice to do it online as well. But yeah, I think it's a strength that everything is here.
Great, thank you. Ernada is wondering, is it free for European or EU citizens? And she's from Bosnia and Herzegovina.
EU, only EU. Yeah.
Just to clarify.
Yeah.
Anna is wondering, do you have scholarships for non-EU? She's studying gender studies currently in her country.
For non-EU, we do have scholarships. They are tuition fee waivers, and they are partial tuition fee waivers. So generally they're 50%, I think. They're all yours are 50%. Once
they used to be, at least.
So and you can apply for those, but you then have to have applied in the first application round. So you have to have submitted your application by the 15th of January. You have to have submitted everything by the 1st of February deadline. And then you have to also be admitted. And once you're admitted, then the application period for scholarships open. And you have to have chosen the program that you want a scholarship for as your number one priority. So there are several kind of hurdles that you need to come across. But there are scholarships, limited number, but there are scholarships, and those are only for fee-paying students because EU students don't pay fees.
And if you're a really good student, you might apply for the second year, even if you didn't get it the first year. If you can show that you've been an excellent student for the first year, you can apply for a scholarship for the second year.
Okay, that's good. That's good to know. On all programs?
Yes.
Yep.
Perfect. Good, thank you. Abderrahman has a question. His major is in banking economics. Can I apply for the business administration and economics program?
It depends on which courses. Is banking and finance?
I think we need to look at the requirements, but
I think so too. And I know that you do need something like 30 ECTS credits. So you need one semester of business or economy related subjects. So, it ought to be fine. But I think we couldn't say anything without seeing your transcript of what courses you had in your bachelor's.
Okay. And in addition, he was wondering about the minimum score for the IELTS exam, the English test.
The IELTS is, the IELTS and TOEFL, can get them mixed up, is 6.5. So you need 6.5 with no section below 5.5. and the TOEFL is 90. So you
Okay.
really, and this is not just to make it difficult for you. It is really what you need. Is what you need to be able to do, to complete your studies. You need to be able to listen, take in what's being said in seminars and lectures. You need to be able to contribute, and you need to read these texts, analyze, write. So a 6.5 is really, it's a minimum, definitely, and it's for your sake.
Okay. I'm getting thumbs up. So I think that's that's taking care of that question. Question from Victoria. Victoria is Italian but studies in Argentina, so being non-EU. What documents are needed to present to apply alongside the EE degree?
You need to submit a copy of your passport, the Italian passport, to be exempt from fees. You need to submit a transcript of the courses that you did in your bachelor's, and you need to submit your diploma if you have graduated. Otherwise, you do need to show that before you're able to get your master's degree from LIU. And you need to have at least 150 ECTS credits by now if you're wanting to apply now in the application period that's open now.
And I think that is all through the website universityadmissions.se. Is that correct?
Yeah. Oh, and I forgot, you need proof of English. So you need to, unless you have an exemption, like for example German students, because they've done English at their, what do you want it? A gymnasium, Abitur?
Yes,
yeah,
gymnasium
level. If they've done English there, they will be exempt. And if you haven't, so look at your country-specific information and see what you need to submit, because you then need to submit a TOEFL or an IELTS test, or there are some others as well. But you can have a look at our website.
Okay. Thank you. And we have a question from Anna. Anna has a master's degree in political science. Can I get a degree in social science?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, I think you look at the program that you're interested in. If you, as you said before, if it's statistics or computational, you will be, you'll need some maths, or you need some programming or statistics.
Yeah, for some it's very specific requirements.
Yeah. Whereas if you want to study, I think science for sustainable development, I think international European relations, there are several that are, they have a broad intake. Business, however, they require 30 ECTS within that field. So you need to have a look at the requirements for your programs, or the program of interest.
Okay. Yep. Thanks for the thumbs up again. Good to see. Benny Moore was asking about the online version. So as we heard, it is, I think all but gender studies, was it, are on campus, right?
Gender studies and child studies are both distance programs, but they are not open in this round.
Exactly.
We also have aging and social change. So that's the only program that's offered both on campus and distance.
Okay. Anna's wondering how she can also become a research associate at Linköping University. Can you say something about that?
I'll pass it on to Åsa.
Yeah, I mean, in the program, as we said, the first year you do mandatory courses, but then you can do an internship together with researchers, for example, to get a start. You do your master thesis. It's often connected to a research project. And after that, there might be possibilities to apply for a PhD. But that depends a bit on the subject and the different environments at the university.
I think we should mention here that in Sweden, a PhD is a job. So you actually apply. It's competitive. It's very competitive. It's not like in many other countries where you do a PhD program and you apply like you do to a master's program. There needs to be funding. So there are kind of several things that need to kind of, pieces that need to be joined up for it to be successful. But it's not impossible. I think I've heard of quite a few of our former students who end up
Yeah, it's my
Same.
department, there's been quite a few.
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah, it's a good way of kind of continuing that path by starting off with a master's program.
And I mean, the lectures, they often give also examples of their own research.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's most of them do a lot of research also, except from, so thereby you also meet the research and of course the academic texts that
Yes.
you read a lot of academic papers.
A lot.
That is social sciences. Yeah. So yeah.
Okay, thank you for that answer. And we have another question. Let's see, we came in from Rick. Rick is asking how student life in Linköping, activities, events, etc. So I see both of you are looking at Fleur already.
Yeah. Student life.
Exactly.
Student life is big here, very big. There's so many events. I was used to Dutch student life, but then obviously Corona came in between my master. But when I came here, I was pretty overwhelmed. You start with some kind of introduction week, buddy week, where you just meet people all the time. We have a lot of big associations, international associations like ESN, the Erasmus Student Network, ESA, the International Student Associations. They organize trips, they organize parties. There's always something going on, but also board game nights, movie nights, a bit more chill, which I like as well. Besides that, I think there are 4 parties every week that are organized by students, and actually I think twice a week almost it is also on campus. The parties are on campus, which is really cool. Everybody comes in their overalls, which is also a very fun student thing here. They have every program has their own overall, and then you buy patches if you go to parties or events, and these you sew on to your overalls, and then you take them and go party. It is pretty wild, and there's a lot of events as well, so a lot of races, trips. It's been amazing. I'm never bored. Never.
I can see why most students are young. I'm like 4 a year. Sounds just about right.
It's a lot for me as well, but there's also a lot of things that you don't have to drink for, or you don't have to party for. There's a lot of other.
You don't have to
stuff
stay
do.
up late even.
No, exactly. Nature-wise, for me, it's also very important here for Linköping. There's so many nice forests, and we have Tinere, which is a nature reserve, and there's organized hikes there as well. So that's really nice. Yeah.
So yeah, you got the. I think that's what kind of the positive things about being in a small town.
Yeah.
Student life, it becomes so concentrated, and I think people. You experience it, whereas I mean I studied in a big city, and you get lost in the big city, whereas I think here you just get immersed in it.
Yeah. And now when I go to student usage, I always see somebody I know as well. And besides that, I'm in an association as well, because as you mentioned, there's so many student associations. So you can join ESN or ESA, the international ones. I'm at Navitas, which is an association for sustainable development, so it fits very well with me. Actually in the travel committee, so we're organizing a trip to Finland in 2 weeks. So that's really nice, and that's also with like Swedish people, but also international people. We meet up every week. They do events as well. Sittnings is also a big thing here. It's like a kind of a dinner where there's people performing as well, and it's really nice and fun.
Oh, sounds it definitely big. I see why you need to structure your studies.
Yes,
because if you don't, you won't have time. So discipline in all areas.
Oh yeah.
But I hope this gave you a good idea of student life.
Yeah.
I think they do. They get an idea. Indeed, there's a lot of things to do, and it's being disciplined very important to combine all that. So thanks for that. I hope that answered the answer from Rick, and I think the others who are interested in that, of course, as well. Also ready for your feedback via not only the questions but also the polls. I opened up a couple of pollings. This is also for the people watching the recording, by the way, if you're watching this through the website, so you can answer also the polls. And we had another question I saw from Benima asking if you can apply with a background of MD. So that's a general practice. I understand MD being medicine. Can you apply to this program?
So which program?
Yeah, that's a good question. Which program? Benima, let us know. I think actually you wrote before. Was there mentioned something? No.
No, I think
Mhm.
if you have a
Social
doctor's degree.
science, yeah, but I think, sorry, interrupt. But I guess, yeah, there's the question, which program in social sciences, right?
Mm. But I think some of them you would be able to.
Yes.
Mm.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's again a
Mhm.
list of the programs, and the computational and the statistics. They are the kind of strictest in a sense. Business as well with the 30
Mhm.
yes. But some of them are very very broad.
Yep.
Yeah.
And ethics,
Okay.
science, and policy is a new one, and
Oh.
they have stressed previously, at least, that they want people also from the medical side because they discuss different ethical dilemmas
Mm.
from different points of view.
Yeah. And I suppose aging and social change would
Mm.
again would
Yep.
I assume be beneficial to have a medical
Mm.
background.
Yep.
So yeah, I think it depends which program.
Okay. Well, she added it concerns aging and social change.
Mhm.
So good. Those were the questions we've received so far. And we still have a minute or so for any questions. This is your moment. Because now we have all these great presenters together, all this know-how and knowledge. So this is your moment to ask any doubt you may have about any of the programs in social science.
Yeah.
Do let us
Um,
know. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm thinking while people are kind of taking the
Yeah.
opportunity to ask a question, Linköping University, what kind of sets us apart, would you say, compared to other universities?
We are a campus university, so
Mhm.
we like to have our students here. We are also not spread all over the town, as you said.
Yeah.
It's close,
Mm.
so you can actually it's close to home for
Mhm.
international students, and also between the different groups. So it's not like if you study this program, you are separated from all the rest of the university. So I think that's also one thing that differs a bit from some other universities that I've been used to, at least in Sweden, when students are spread all over. So you might not interact with students from another program, for example. Why we tend to do that at Linköping.
Mhm.
Yeah. Adding to that, I think all internationals kind of live in the same area, or everybody lives close. So in my house, I have people studying ethics, applied ethology, European international master. So like almost all the social science masters just in my house, because I live with 7 other people. And that's really nice, because then at dinner at night we discuss what we think about the master programs and stuff. And in big cities, I think you don't really get that, because everybody just lives somewhere else. So I think that's really nice. And then it's just, you feel that this university is quite young and everybody's open, especially when I talk to professors, to researchers. There's always this openness to conversation. It comes from student to teacher, and there is mostly this dialogue, and there's a lot of reflecting as well on the courses. So yeah, it's very accessible, very open, I would say.
That's good. And I think we should mention with the accommodation. A lot of our
Yeah,
students live
we
in
just got a
corridor.
question about that. Sorry.
Yeah,
Indeed, about housing. Yeah.
So most students do live in a corridor room, and you can have a look on our webpage, student accommodation. But that's 8 rooms. You have your own room with your own bathroom, a bed, maybe a sofa, a desk, and then you have a shared living area. So shared kitchen and living area, and that's so you kind of have your privacy, but you also have people to hang out with. And that's a complete mix. You have a mix of Swedish, international, different programs, gender mix. So it's a complete mix. And I think, and most of these corridor rooms, they're on a kind of 3 floors.
Yeah.
With one corridor and another one, and there's several houses of these, not too far from campus. So I think a lot of students tend to live in one area,
Yeah.
which I think you also.
Yeah. I actually found my housing through Facebook, so it's private. It's not the student boss started. So that's also a possibility to look in these Facebook groups, because we live like in a regular house, but also with 8 students. But and a lot of my friends live in these corridors, and you have them scattered over town, but all of them are quite close to campus. Like I bike here in 8 minutes, which is very nice.
That is nice. That is
yeah.
nice. Yeah.
But yeah, you really get to know the people in your corridor, which is very nice, because you also have that shared space. You don't only have a kitchen, you have like a shared space, often with a TV as well. So yeah, it's people you see every day. It's really nice, so you don't get lonely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you go through, if you choose a corridor room, you will go through companies, kind of, registered companies. And Facebook is a good option, but I think, then you need to be careful that you don't get conned, scammed. Don't part with any money before you've seen anything. Don't go on your own. I think those, but those apply everywhere. But it's a good option.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you for that. 2 more questions came in, so let's take those still. Benima was wondering, could we have a list of books that we are supposed to read before starting the master? So that was about aging and social change. I don't know if that's too specific to answer right now, but is there anything you can say?
Yeah, I think, if one is, of course, when one has applied and is admitted, there are a program coordinator. That's a person responsible for the program and also counseling and similar. So of course, if you then ask them to provide you with a list, of course, we would hand it out. Some programs, they actually have it on the website, but that's quite uncommon, because if we have that, it controls, maybe there comes a new book and we want to add that. So we don't want to publish them too long in advance, because we want to look at the newest books, or the most recent ones.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
But if you're admitted, and I think even if you are, really interested and you've applied, I'm sure you can, send us an email, and we can arrange something that you do get a list, which it won't be set in stone, because it might change, but it would give you an idea.
Great. Question from Anna. Do you take into account the availability of scientific articles when applying? And what level should they be?
No. Your application, it's based on your academic merits. So it's what you studied. It's what you studied, really. So you need to send your transcript and you need to send your diploma. And that's what we look at. So we don't look at any CVs, letters of recommendation, scientific papers. None of that is assessed in the application process.
Okay. Good. Well, that then think slowly is wrapping up this session. I don't see any further questions. If there comes one comes in, then we can still take it. But otherwise, we're slowly wrapping it up. Before we have some closing words from Therese and maybe last points, I have a last polling. As I'd like to know from everyone how we did. How did you feel the session was? Now we're putting ourselves on the spot, but did you feel the session was great, or did you feel it was lacking? Whatever it is, let us know. We are of course like to hear your feedback. So on the screen now you see the grading system, 5 being the best, by the way. So we're getting some good votes already. So
I like the emojis. Thank you, guys.
The emojis are nice.
Emojis are very cute.
I think this is very typical for Sweden, to reflect on everything. There's a lot of reflection, a lot of feedback, which is very nice in a master program, because you always make your voice heard. So I think it's funny that we do this now, because every time I do a course, I get an email with like, okay, now you can reflect and give feedback on this course, which is very nice.
I mean, I think that's really, and I think that's as a Swedish way, but there's a student body that's very influential in how the universities run, and and they, I mean, they give feedback on a lot of things.
Yeah.
So I think this is important. Just like you said before, ask questions. Don't just be passive, but be part of it. And I think that's also kind of in that spirit of first name basis. And it's not a I'm the teacher, you're the student kind of atmosphere. It's well, I might have worked a bit longer and a bit more, read more, but you can still learn from each other. I think that's I think that kind of sums us up in a way. Yeah.
Well, great that sums it up, because that also wraps up then this webinar. From my side, thanks everyone for having joined. All the audience members, of course, people from different countries I noticed joined in, so great to see. Hopefully you end up in Linköping. And the three of you, thank you very much for your time. Osa, if I say that right, Fleur, and Therese, thanks a lot. Therese, any last words?
No, just to talk to us if you have questions. Just hit reply, something you've been sent by us, or contact us through this. And really do check out our social medias, the blog, Instagram. We don't have much on Facebook, but blog, Instagram, podcast. It's our students, they're telling you what it's really like to be here, and I think that's the best source that you can get.
Sure.
So that's it. So thank you for having joined us.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.